Say it with me now, loud and proud. Three, two, one. Mailbag.
Mailbag.
We've got a mailbag. We also have a regular season baseball game to talk about. The Japan series between the Cubs and Dodgers. That happened yesterday morning. Game two is coming up this morning. So if you woke up and you're looking for a little primer, we can give you that at the tail end of the episode if we want. It's a little Sasaki and Steele action for you. Roki's MLB debut. It's going to happen in the Tokyo Dome. But we have 8 mailbag questions, 4 of which came from our Discord. Shout out the Discord. And the rest have come from X and Instagram. It is the Just Baseball Show for Wednesday, March 19th. As always, we are brought to you by
BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Remember, folks, use promo code JUSTBASEBALL on BetMGM for all new customers because you get a first bet offer up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first wager loses. So if you're new to BetMGM and you're thinking about placing some MLB futures, maybe a pick for the Tokyo series or on opening day, again, you want to take advantage of that code because, again, if you use code JustBaseball on BetMGM and your first bet loses, you'll get it all back up to $1,500 in bonus bets. But remember, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 21 years or older. Terms and conditions apply. We got a roundup and we got a mailbag. We got everything here.
those are like the two things that we sing on this podcast. And now it's time for your.
It's, well, I want to say weekend roundup, but it's like a Tuesday roundup between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Chicago Cubs. Opening day at 6 a.m. in the morning Eastern time, 3 a.m. Pacific for all those Dodger fans out there. Hopefully you set your alarms, but if you didn't, I got the rundown here for us. So, scoreless first inning. Shout out all the Nerfy betters. But the scoring started in the bottom of the second when catcher Miguel Amaya, everybody expected him to drive in the first run of the season, doubled to score Dansby Swanson. From there, I mean, both pitchers were excellent outside of just a few walks. Like Shota Imanaga did not allow a hit through 4 innings, but then was taken out before he reached 70 pitches. We'll talk about that in a second. Ben Brown, reliever for the Cubs, then came in the fifth, and that's when the Dodgers started to roll. Tommy Edman started the scoring with an RBI single, scoring Andy Pajes. Then Teoscar grounded into what could have been an inning-ending double play, but a slide broke up John Birdie's throw, allowing Shohei Ohtani to score. Then Will Smith singles to drive in the third one. After 5 innings, it is 3-1 Dodgers. And the game ended 4-1. The final scoring came on a Teoscar Hernandez single to score Ohtani. Yoshinobu Yamamoto went 5 innings, 1 earned run. Anthony Bonda, Ben Kasparius, Blake Trinan, and Tanner Scott, you're going to be hearing those 4 names a lot, came in and did not allow a hit. That Miguel Amaya double in the second inning was their second to last hit. The last hit for the Chicago Cubs was an Ian Happ bouncer that hit off Yoshinobu Yamamoto's glove and he beat it out. So really from the fourth inning on, the Cubs were held scoreless, hitless, and I'm sure nightmare fuel started when they started to see that bullpen come in with a lead and they weren't able to hold it. And I know Cubs fans are also probably freaking out because why was Shota Imanaga taken out after just 66 pitches, under 70? Craig Counsell, the manager, came out and said after the fact, 70 pitches was his pitch count here. But he did go 77 in his last spring training start. And it just felt like give the man the fifth inning. He hasn't allowed a hit yet. I know it's early. I know you're about to say that. I know it's early.
Yeah.
But he hadn't allowed a hit, Jack. And in spring training he had gone longer than he did even in that start. I would have given him the fifth. I know it was 2 righties and then Ohtani, but it's the bottom of the lineup. He hadn't given up a hit. I don't care about righty-lefty matchups when you haven't given up a hit.
I don't think anybody's in the business of preserving no hitters in the fifth inning of a Major League Baseball game when it's happening on March 18th. I'll be
Give him the
serious.
fifth. He's at 66 pitches, and I will repeat,
Yeah, but
he
like,
hasn't allowed a hit.
okay, so whether you agree with the ramp up process or not, the ramp up process for the Cubs at least is going higher pitch count, then you taper off a little bit, and then you ramp back up. It's like training for a marathon. You're not going to run 10, then 12, then 15, then 20, then 26. Like you're going to run 10. Like you have a long day and then you run 3 as a recovery and then like you almost pulse back and forth. Like it's okay to have that. So if the pitch count was 70, I understand. And listen, is there much of a rhyme or reason to like the ramp up process? I don't know. Like a lot of it is kind of tradition based. And guys have been doing a similar ramp up process for the last however many years of their career. I have no idea if that preserves arms or not. But what I will tell you is March 18th is a hard time to say, you know what? Leash is off. Go get him. No hitter in Tokyo. Like,
Not
I just don't
saying
think that can
I'm
happen.
not, but you're misconstruing what I'm saying. I'm not saying leash is
Saying
off.
give him
Give
the
him
fifth. I'm
120
saying give
pitches.
him the fifth when he
I
was
said
three
give him the
pitches
fifth.
shy of his pitch count. He was
When he's,
3 pitches shy.
I know, but I didn't understand the 70 pitch count at all either. If he's gone 77, why wasn't it 80? I mean, Yoshinobu
Because again, you're
Yamamoto.
pulsing back. I just explained that.
It still doesn't make any sense to me. I
Yeah, sure.
understand
It
that
doesn't
that's the
have to.
reasonable answer, but I would have given him the fifth. I'm sure all Cubs fans are saying that they would have given him the fifth as well. And I'm sure also Cubs fans are not happy that, their manager that they paid a boatload of money to and Craig Counsell goes to Ben Brown, who immediately gives up the lead. I'm sure they're
Yeah.
just not happy right now.
I did think Ben Brown looked all right before like the hit parade started, but
Curveball's
I
good. Curveball's good.
curveball's really good. Like I like that idea of Brown being deployed as kind of a piggyback because they're gonna have guys that go 4 or 5 innings in a start, and like if he can buy the bullpen a day and give you 3 innings out of the pen, that could be a recipe for success for the Cubs because they are 6, 7 deep in terms of starting pitchers, and I'm accounting for Ben Brown as being like a starting pitcher of sorts. So I did like that designed piggyback. I don't want to call this an elevated spring training game because the energy in that ballpark was absolutely freaking insane. Like
Like a
that
playoff
place
game.
is so far and away number one on my baseball bucket list.
Do you know that Shota, when asked where this game like ranks in terms of his top moments, he said number one.
Yeah.
Like this was a huge game for both him and Yoshinobu Yamamoto, pitching in front. They're both from Japan too. I know they pitched in the MPB, but they're both from around the area too. So this was a huge game for them. And we're talking about the Cubs a lot. I just do want to utter some sentiments about the Dodgers. I mean, no Freddie, no Mookie, no problem. This lineup wears you down. And I think the perfect example of that is Max Muncy. Max Muncy had 2 strikeouts. He had 2 walks. You look at the box score and you're like, not good. I think he had a 9 pitch AB every single time. I mean, he is such a valuable bat in the back end of their lineup, but they just wear you down. And then the bullpen. Like everybody's talking about how they go 10 deep in the starting rotation. How about the fact that they could go 10 deep in the bullpen and it's arguably better? And then, of course, the lineup is just so unbelievably prolific, even without Mookie, even without Freddie Freeman. I mean, this team might win 110 games. I know it's you were talking on Tuesday, March 18th, and we're only through one game, and they're expected to win 103, 104 games by BetMGM's win total. But I mean, this is 98 Yankees level. This and probably better. I mean, this quite possibly could be the best team that you and I have ever seen in our lifetimes as 27-year-olds.
So if I have this count correct, Max Muncy had 5 plate appearances. I think he saw 32 pitches this morning in 5 plate appearances. 32 pitches.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I'm looking at the pitch log here. So count along with me real quick. Like count to 32. You
Okay.
ready? Foul ball, 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 strike, ball, foul, foul, walk. So that's an 8 pitch AB number one. Then ball, strike, ball, ball, strike, walk. 8 plus 6 is 14. Okay, those were his two ABs against Shota. Ball, strike, ball, foul, 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 strikeout. That's what, 9 pitches
I
against
got
Ben
10 on
Brown?
that.
10 pitches against Ben Brown. Then 1 pitch in out against Eli Morgan. It was a first pitch fastball. And then against Ryan Brazier, former teammate, ball, foul, strikeout. That's unbelievable.
He's just sitting at the back end of their lineup, top 10 third baseman, like rakes, is going to get their 30 homers. And that's just a guy when we're talking about ramping up these pitch counts, getting into the bullpens. Max Muncy's like, I'll take 25 for
Yeah,
me.
he's just doing a job.
You guys handle the other 65 pitches. I'll take 25 of them. So
Dude,
even when he doesn't get a hit and he strikes out twice, still valuable. That's why I
that's
wanted to bring up Max Muncy in particular.
that's crazy. No, I thought the pageantry of this game was absolutely amazing, and I love this early start to the regular season. I love that these two games count, and I love that we get that. And I don't know how brutal the travel is for the Dodgers, who have done it twice now, to Seoul last year and then to Tokyo this year. But if they're willing to keep doing it, and if Major League Baseball is willing to keep doing this, I think this is a perfect idea to kind of scratch that itch in a continent that gives us so much amazing baseball.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I just wish it wasn't at 6 in the morning, but I know Dodger
Yeah,
fans are
what you
saying, I
gonna
wish it
do?
wasn't at 3 in the morning, right? It
Right,
just
right.
is what it is. So that kind of sucks. And the marketing of it, where baseball is starting their regular season at 6 in the morning, right as March Madness starts. I saw social media getting after Major League Baseball for that. So I could see where people would argue that it's actually not a good thing that they're doing this, but I'm just so excited for baseball, and it's such a good product, and it's so much fun, and it's growing the game abroad that I kind of don't really care. I'll wake up at 6 in the morning. I'd wake up at 3 in the morning, just get to watch baseball,
Yeah,
and that's the best.
totally with you. Mailbag time?
Mailbag time.
Let's do it. All right. So, again, our mailbag questions we fielded from our Discord. Give us the plug on the Discord. How can people join?
So you can join through the episode description. There's a link in there, and it's only $5 to join until opening day. So what do you get? Well, you get all my picks as soon as I bet them, and there's also a betting channel to discuss. But I would say 40 to 50% of people are in the Discord for the betting stuff, maybe even less. Like, we have 6 channels: MLB, minor league, college, fantasy baseball, trading cards, and then betting, where everyone in every different channel is talking about a bunch of different things. We already have a 30-team dynasty league set up in the fantasy chat, right? For all the college baseball listeners, for people who want to go more in depth on the minor leagues with Arm and Jack, talk MLB, right? We're going to be in Cincinnati for opening day with BetMGM. So we're already discussing sort of a meetup in the Discord with all the people in the area of Cincinnati, a lot of that stuff. And we're also doing merch giveaways soon. And again, it's just $5 to join. The link is in the episode description. It will go to $10 come opening day. So if you are interested, come on down. We'd love to have you.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get to question one. This is a Discord question. We fielded 4 Discord questions, 2 Instagram questions, and 2 X questions. First Discord question is from Big Red Analytics, Cincinnati, stand up. Which free agent signing that signed for under $15 million AAV, average annual value, will have the biggest impact next year? The Reds' answer is Austin Hayes, and I think that is a clear cut answer. Did you have him written down?
No, I had Clay Holmes written down, the New York Mets,
Yeah.
because he signed a 3-year, $38 million deal, which is about 12.5 million per season. And he already has the sinker, slider, and sweeper, but he added the kick change, improved his four seam fastball, and even added a cutter. And when we're talking about a guy adding new pitches, it's cool, right? If they flash it and it looks weird and it's different, but not when it's already looking like a borderline elite pitch in that kick
Yeah.
change. And the fact is that he can throw a four seam and a cutter as well. 6'5, 240 pounds with 6 pitches that are all solid at inducing ground balls while also getting whiffs. I mean, this guy, the 3 years, 38 million, that's more of a deal where it's like, we're going to try you as a starter. And if it works, the deal looks really good. I think it's going to work. And then they get a guy at 3 years, 38 million, making about 12 a year. I mean, there are pitchers who, like Frankie Montas, signed for more for a year deal, right? So you get Clay Holmes for 3 years. He gets to mature as a starting pitcher in your organization with Dave Stearns, who's famous for continuing to create a pitching lab. I've been down on the Mets starting pitching in totality because I'm worried about who's going to eat innings. Now, I don't think Clay Holmes is going to throw 170 innings this year, right?
No.
Because his season high ever is 70 because he's never been a starter. But I think he can double that and get to 140 and have an
And they're
ERA in the
really good.
Yeah, in the ERA in like the 3.3 to 3.5 range with a relatively high strikeout rate and a really high ground ball rate. That's going to be a really good player for just $12.5 million. So that was like my clear, no doubt answer among the guys making 15 million a year or less.
Do you feel bad that Yankee fans just crapped on this guy for a long time?
Do I feel bad? Like, no. I, no. I mean,
Like you
there
remember he was chopped liver to you guys.
there were times where my heart rate would go through the moon. My blood pressure would start to boil. I don't even know if that's how blood pressure works, but
Blood would boil, the
blood,
temperature is up because the pressure is up and the rate is high, which then creates heat.
yes. So all of those things were happening during some Clay Holmes when he was coming in to close some games. Like he even lost the closer's role. So it's not just Yankee fans complaining, it was the Yankees taking him out of that role because they thought they had a better option in Luke Weaver.
You guys were
So,
so mean to him.
yeah, we're a mean fan base.
Yeah.
Get over it.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been baiting you into saying it for a long time and
What do
just
you
said
mean?
it.
Have I not said that? I've said that 100 times.
Have you
That we're a mean
you haven't
fan
come out
base?
and concretely said we're a mean fan base.
Oh, well, if I haven't yet, I'm saying it now. Objectively, we're one of the meanest fan bases in sports.
Cool. Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
fact. I ain't changing, though. I'm not going to change. No.
I hope Clay Holmes is awesome for the sake of him and proving Yankee fans wrong. Another guy along those lines, Gleyber Torres signed for exactly $15 million. I do like
Yeah.
that. The Tigers needed a right-handed bat badly, but I did seriously write down Austin Hayes. I think Austin Hayes at $5 million for the Reds was a phenomenal get for Cincinnati. Couple other guys. Pivetta signed that 4-year, $55 million deal. I don't know if Pivetta is going to be like, that great $13 million a year guy, but I do know that the Padres needed someone badly and they got Pavetta there. And I think what he can do for the Padres is massive. The other one, Max Kepler makes this Philly lineup a little deeper, and that's a 1-year, $10 million deal. We could totally look at that deal in July and say, wow, that was steep. That was a hefty price to pay for Max Kepler, but I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're looking at him as a good corner outfield option.
Yeah, I want to focus on that Austin Hayes pick of yours. It's funny. Austin Hayes' value just went down the drain. He was an all star a few years ago. In that season, he was an all star. If he played all of his games at Great American Ballpark, he would have hit 28 home runs. And then the Orioles have a gluttony of prospects and just outfielders. So he starts to play in more of a platoon role, kind of messes with his routine. Then he goes to Philly, and now he's seen as a platoon guy. So he continues that, and it doesn't go well. And now Austin Hayes was just left on the street to sign a $5 million deal. Like, if he is a starting outfielder and he
Or
gets his through his routine every single day, this guy is going to be an above average hitter, in my
yeah,
opinion. But I could also look back at every year he was an above average hitter when he has been a full time player. So I think the Austin Hayes get is a great one for Cincy, especially they needed a right handed outfielder.
yep. And they got one. All right, let's go to the next one here. This is from Discord. John DeFilippo asks, who are your top 5 general managers in baseball today? I feel like we get this question a lot. Like, who are the best decision makers in Major League
I
Baseball?
feel like we get it a lot, but we answer it about once a year around this time, which is why I wanted to add it because the list changes.
It does. It changes a little bit. I think it's a body of work thing as well as like what have you done for me lately.
Yeah.
Also, for the sake of like eliminating bias, I did not think about Peter Bendix, although I think Bendix is very, very good at what he does. Um, so no Bendix for me, the Marlins employee. Um, Here's my list of 5. Andrew Friedman of the Dodgers jumps out, obviously. The guy that succeeded him in Tampa Bay, Eric Neander, also jumps out to me. I think Alex Anthopoulos in Atlanta is absolutely there. I think David Stearns is absolutely there in New York. And my 5th might be where we differ. I went with Chris Antonetti in Cleveland.
Mm.
Cleveland has built a perennial contender in the American League Central, and they've done it via homegrown talent. I think he's a very good pitching and hitting identifier, and those guys blossom for him a lot.
Yeah, I can totally get through that list because my top five GMs in baseball, number one, no doubt about it, Andrew Friedman with the Dodgers. At number two, David Stearns with the Mets. Number three, Alex Anthopoulos with the Braves. Number four, Eric Neander with the Rays. But my number five pick, give me Mike Hazen with the
I like
Arizona
that.
Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
I think the ability that he was able to create this team, not just, out of the rough completely, but and it's more even Ken Kendrick, right? The owner of the Diamondbacks giving him enough money to make these deals. But like we've seen with other GMs, if they're presented money, that doesn't necessarily mean they go out and actually get the player,
Yeah.
right? San Francisco has had tons of money. They haven't been able to get the player until they brought in a guy like Buster Posey, right? Mike Elias has been given money, not signing a lot of free agents. Maybe that's what the Orioles want to do, but that's the reality of the situation. Mike Hazen has gone in. He goes to get Corbin Burns. He's made trades for Josh Naylor. He lets guys go who we think are fine to let go. He made that trade getting Gabby Moreno in and Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in for Dalton Varsho. I think this guy's among the top five GMs in baseball, but I like the plug with Antonetti with Cleveland. He would probably be my number six. So we're pretty aligned here.
Yeah, I thought Mike Hazen was my number six too. The other guy that I thought about was Chris Young in Texas.
Yeah.
I think Chris Young is up there as well.
I think this is a
Um,
big year for Chris Young to start entering these conversations, though, because
I
it's
think
one
so.
thing you won the World Series, great, but then the next year you were
Yeah,
below average. What are you
yeah,
this year? If they are again a perennial favorite again, yeah.
yeah. And I also think these are, like they're layered conversations with guys like AJ Preller and Mike Elias and Jerry Dipoto, but those guys are very good at building out farm systems, like really good at it.
And I still think Cashman is a good GM.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
he's
so.
in this boat personally. I think Craig Breslow with
It's
Boston
so
will get
young.
there
It's
too
so
early
young.
though. I agree
Yeah.
with you. Um yeah, there's a good amount of GMs in baseball that I would say are pretty damn solid. I think it would be almost harder to make a bottom five list than a
Yeah,
top five list because
definitely.
you really can make an argument. You know, some people in the industry, or at least this is what the New York Post puts out and all the New York propaganda, is that Brian Cashman is regarded as the best general manager in baseball. Some people may say that. I would not agree, but some people may. So,
It's
again,
totally a subjective thing.
yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go to storylines. This another Discord question, and this comes to us from RY. Maybe Rye, just all caps, like he's super excited to say Rye. Who are your favorite, or what are your favorite storylines going into the season? What are you most excited for? I like this overarching question, so I wrote down like three or four. I've
Hmm.
got three. You ready?
Yep.
Number one, do the Dodgers win 120 games? Do you have that one?
No, I have something else about the Dodgers, but not quite
Okay.
that one.
But I've got like, do they win 120? Like, are they one of the best teams that we've ever seen? That's something I'm like actually watching for 6 months this year.
Yes, absolutely.
Are Philly and Atlanta going to give us a heavyweight fight in the
Mm.
National League East?
I like that. I didn't write it down because I am very confident that happens, but I could totally see others not confident in that. So I think it's a great storyline.
I think Atlanta needs to stay healthy, and Philly is putting their best foot forward, and this feels like their final step. You know what I mean? Like, this is their last chance with Harper getting a little older, with Turner getting a little older. And I'm not saying the next years are just washed after this, but you still have Castellanos there, you
Yeah,
still have Bohm
feels
there.
like the year.
Yeah, this is the year. Like Wheeler's in his mid 30s, Nola's getting into his early mid 30s. Like, this might be the year where they're pushing all the chips forward. The other one, are the Astros still the Astros without Tucker and Bregman?
Mm,
Like this lineup does not look as good.
no,
But is Cam Smith amazing?
but
Does
it also
Altuve look awesome in left?
it still looks pretty good. I mean, Isak
It's
Paredes is at third now. Christian Walker is at first, and then you throw in Cam Smith in there, and you still have Altuve, and you still have your Dong, and you still have Yiner Diaz. I mean, the lineup is still good,
and I
and the
think Pena has a
rotation.
bounce back year this year offensively.
And I think the rotation is still pretty damn solid too. One of the questions is asking about a guy who can finish top five in Cy Young voting this year. That's definitely not within the five projected guys to finish in the top five. So, and he's on the Astros. So we'll talk about that in a minute. I think they might win the division again. I
Yeah,
think,
I mean, them in Texas seem like the two clear cut to be honest, and then like Oh, by the way, Seattle's got the best rotation in baseball.
Yeah, I still think Seattle's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be shocked to see them win the division if the Rangers falter, right? Don't reach their potential, and the Astros just take a step back, and the Mariners just win it with 87 wins.
Yeah.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities. I'm glad you went with team storylines. I went all players,
Cool. All right.
so that's good. So my first one: what does Paul Skeens look like in a full season? We only got 130 innings from him last year. What does 180 look like? Does he pitch to an ERA below 2? I know we're just freaking out because it's a couple days before the season and we're excited, but that's not out of the realm of possibility here,
He
folks.
pitched to his sub two in his first 130 innings.
That was going to be my next point,
Yeah.
right? This is like this guy has the potential to not only establish himself as he already is one of the best pitchers in baseball,
As
but
the
like
best.
as
Established
like
himself as the
the
best.
best, no doubt. Like you
Yep.
remember when DeGrom was in his peak, where it was like, all right, we can start the list after him. It's almost like we
Yep.
start hitters list after Otani. Everyone just puts Otani at the top. It could start to be like that, where it's just Skeens, who's your two? Then let's start the list. I
Yeah.
want to see what that looks like. Going over the Dodgers. Can Otani win his third straight MVP, and can he pitch? And if he wins the MVP this year, he'll be second in MVPs all time. All time. He only trails Barry Bonds with 7. He has 3 right now. So the players with 3 MVPs: Otani, Trout, Albert Pujols, Alex Rodriguez, Mike Schmidt, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella, Stan Musial, and Jimmy Fox. So if he wins it again this year, that's 3 straight, 4 total. He'll be second in MVPs to Bonds. And if he pitches, and he just went 2 for 5, it looked great. For all those watching on YouTube, I'm just doing this with my hands.
No, you
Get it?
you can officially start the GOAT talk if he does that again.
That's what I'm saying. If he pitches and wins an MVP this year, Barry Bonds still took steroids. Like a lot of people just throw that out the window. It's like he's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He took steroids. That matters when we're talking about a guy like Otani. All right, my third storyline, more just I'm excited for this. The holy trinity of young shortstops. Gunnar Henderson, Bobby Witt Jr., Ellie De La Cruz. Because in the National League, like I wouldn't be shocked to see Ellie win the MVP. I don't think he's far off from being a guy who can hit 30 to 35 home runs while stealing 70 bases and not being Ronald Acuna 2023-esque because Ellie's just not going to hit 330 like
Yeah.
Acuna did. But Ellie's probably going to play better defense. So if he's 29 home runs, right, he was a 6.5 win player last year. But there were some errors in there. Like if he cleans up the defense a little bit, which I know he can, with again a partner in crime and Matt McClain over there at third, helping him out a little bit. Yeah, we probably could see an 8-9 win player out of Ellie De La Cruz, and that's not even mentioning Bobby Witt Jr. is coming off an 11 win season, or Gunnar Henderson coming off an 8 or 9 win season. These guys are 23, 24 years old. This is incredible. We're in the midst of a just could be a historic type shortstop class. It's really early to say that. That's why I'm saying could, but they're well on their way early.
Yep.
So those are my 3 major storylines coming from the player side.
Cool. Yeah, I like that. All right, we got 3 team and 3 player.
Mm-hmm.
We are gonna get to our next question, which has to do with Cy Young dark horses. But before that, quick break. All right, our last Discord question. This comes from Schro, SCHRO. Who's one pitcher flying under the radar that will finish top 5 in Cy Young voting this year? I have 2.
I have 2 as well.
He asked for 1. I have 2.
One in the American League and one in the National League.
Okay, I have 1 in the National League for sure, and then the other also in the National League.
Okay. So why don't you go first with your National League? I'll go my American League, and then we'll both finish with another National League guy.
Okay, so number 1, he is flying under the radar. He has been this good, but I feel like nobody is considering him like a top 5 possibility for Cy Young right now. Zach Gallen in Arizona. Like, I think people forgot how good Zach Gallen is. So that's my boring answer, I think. Like, that's not my breakout Cy Young candidate answer, but I do think Zach Gallen is underappreciated. I think he's becoming one of the more underrated pitchers in baseball.
So you may say that, like, oh, it's such an easy, obvious answer. Like Gallen's coming off a relative down year, and he's like 15th in Cy Young odds. So it's
Yeah.
not a bad pick at all. I mean, Zach Gallen the year before was coming off his career high in innings and then brought even 26 more innings in the playoffs. He pitched well over 200 innings over an entire season. It was a lot on his arm. And we saw that he kind of ran into the injury bug a little bit. He wasn't as precise as Gallen normally is. But now with a full offseason of rest, he comes back and he's probably going to look like the Zach Gallen that we know well. The one that was the number one pitcher on a team that went to the World Series that good. So I think that's a great call.
Cool.
So my American League guy, and I'm surprised that you didn't pick this guy,
I know who you're going with.
Hunter Brown for the Houston Astros. Pitched to a 2.26 ERA in the second half, 74 strikeouts with 71 innings. He's got 6 pitches. Like, I don't think that people know that about Hunter Brown. He's got a sinker, four seamer, slider, changeup, knuckle curve, and he has a cutter. But the reason I like Hunter Brown is I think there's more upside for strikeouts in there. But he dropped his hard hit rate down to 30% last year. He's keeping that sinker off the barrel. 30% hard hit rate. That is in the 97th percentile of baseball last year. High ground ball rate as well. Heavy extension off the mound. Again, a 25% strikeout rate or more. I mean, if he's able to elevate that to 27%, which he did in his rookie year, he's able to maintain the quality of contact against him while keeping the ball on the ground. I mean, this is 180 innings at a low threes with 200 strikeouts. Does that not sound like a Cy Young pick to you?
It does.
So I'm going with Hunter Brown in the American League. I wouldn't even be surprised if he just fucked around and won it.
I dig it.
Go ahead for your National League pick.
My other NL pick. This is like actually the breakout, and you're not going to be surprised when I say this name whatsoever. Who am I
Okay.
going to say?
I don't know.
NL East. Who am I going to say?
Well, I hope you don't pick mine.
It's not Gore, is it?
No.
Okay, Gore is mine.
Okay.
Like I'm all the way in. He's getting the opening day start for Washington. Like I think this is the year that it all clicks for Mackenzie Gore, and he turns into that Clayton Kershaw we were promised when he was 17 years old.
It's so funny. He's almost becoming more Blake Snell than Clayton Kershaw
I
because he's
know,
still like 4.5 walks per
I
nine,
know, but
which is
guess
why
how
I'm
many?
like, why do you love him so much?
Guess
This
how
is your
many Cy Young
antithesis.
Snell has won?
Yeah. Did win a Cy Young. I mean,
He's won two.
he's won two. That's a
He's
sneaky
won
pick about
two.
Blake Snell. He's won two. Um, yeah. I mean, the thing is still with Mackenzie Gore, like, can you throw enough strikes?
Yeah,
Can you throw enough strikes? Can you get the ball in the zone? And it's easy to say, well, just make a little bit of a command tweak. He does have his mechanics are pretty crazy. Like they're kind of all over the place a little bit. Like Kershaw, at least with his mechanics, it looked more contained a little bit. While
yeah.
Gore, the big leg kick, he kind of get all over the place, and his release point just gets out of whack. Like,
I don't want anybody to think that I'm comping Mackenzie Gore to Clayton Kershaw. It's just we were promised Clayton
yeah,
Kershaw, and he was like low A and high A, just killing,
yeah.
absolutely murdering.
I'm not as high on Gore as you are, but I see the vision. I see where you're coming from
Okay.
with that. My guy was really good last year, and I felt like nobody cared. Christopher Sanchez with the Phillies. This guy is fantastic. He pitched to a 3.32 ERA in 181 innings last year. He's sitting 97 with the sinker in spring training, but he also has that wipeout changeup, a slider with a 30% whiff rate, plus that cutter that he's been developing that he's throwing more and more in spring training as well. Heavy ground ball pitcher, strikeout upside with long levers, big extension down the mound. This guy, if he elevates his strikeout rate a little bit, because he's not one of these ground ball guys that just gets raked, right? There have been seasons, even last year, Framber, Logan Webb, a lot of hard contact, but thankfully they keep it on the ground. Not Christopher Sanchez. He's above average in all those departments while rocking a 58% ground ball rate with strikeout stuff. If he lowers that ERA to a 3.1 and he gets to 190, 200 innings, maybe keeps the pitch count a little bit lower, gets those ground balls, he might fuck around and win it.
I like that pitch a lot because he is one of those guys that is on cruise control through six, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're in the seventh inning.
Yeah. And especially in the Phillies, like he just gets buried sometimes.
Yeah.
You got Wheeler, who everybody loves. You got Nola, who's just the model of consistency. Ranger Suarez has been everybody's favorite because he's like this 5'9", little short, stumpy guy throwing 91 who just nobody could touch in huge moments. He goes into Truist Field against the Braves in big time playoff games and shoves. I mean, he's just awesome and everybody loves him. And then you have Jesus Zardo, and it's like, what can he be as the fifth? And I feel like Christopher Sanchez just sits in the middle, and he could be the best out of all of them this year.
Yeah.
And that's with Wheeler being in the rotation. Like Christopher Sanchez, I think he's 28 years old, up and coming. Loved what I saw last year. He looks awesome in spring.
And they trusted, dude. Like they signed him to the extension.
Yeah.
Like Dombrowski and Preston Mattingly, whoever, like they saw this and said, yes, we want more of this. I'm just thinking, like, so it's really hard to put somebody ahead of Wheeler for me internally.
Yeah. I mean, that's a crazy take, I know, but
But
I
no,
wouldn't
but
be
I think it's
surprised. Yeah.
realistic to say that he is. I think you can realistically say Christopher Sanchez is going to have the second best year in that Phillies rotation, and I would nod along and say, yeah, probably.
Like, I don't think it's impossible to say that Christopher Sanchez is a top 5 left-handed pitcher in baseball by the end of the season.
No, I don't think so. Like that,
I mean, you start
I'm not.
listing lefties and it's going to be tough, but like, will Christopher Sanchez have a better year than Max Fried? I think it's possible.
I think
Yeah.
there's a more than decent chance that
So
happens.
and then there he's top 5, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, I think he's going to be I think he's going to be a stud. Absolutely. And it's almost like if you took Ranger Suarez and just turned the MLB The Show sliders
turn
up.
the sliders
We
up.
just throw harder, and it's a lot of
Yeah.
the same stuff, but it's like better.
Yep. I understand. All right, let's go to the next question. And now we get to the social media aspect of this. Question from Instagram from Ritsugo.Ryan. Who are your top five players to watch this year, choosing between rookies that aren't the favorites to win Rookie of the Year and second year players only? So we attack this in different ways. You just went under the radar rookies that are not in like the top five in Rookie of the Year odds right now. I grabbed a couple of those guys, but I also grabbed second year guys that I'm intrigued by. And I'll just get the second year guys out of the way for me, just because we kind of follow different prompts here. The second year guys that jump out to me personally, I've got Mason Wynn on this list. I'm just like, I think that guy, and he didn't play today, wrist soreness, like right wrist soreness. So I hope he's all right. But if he plays a whole year, I think that guy is so very clearly a top 10 shortstop in baseball. He is tooled out beyond freaking belief. And I just want to see him play 162 with a year under his belt where he was flat out good last year. Kumar Rocker is another one for me in Texas. Like Rocker is the fastball slider combination going to be that freaking good. I've got Jung Hoo Lee as well, but Jung Hoo Lee obviously on the shelf with back issues now. Did I see?
Yeah. I mean, damn it.
Yeah,
Damn it. I mean,
yeah,
Royce Lewis goes down 2 again. It's just
yeah.
great. Welcome back to baseball. Everybody's hurt.
Yep. And then I've got although I guess Rocker is like a rookie that's outside of the top five, so that kind of counts there. I also have the tandem of Langford and Carter. I don't think I need to explain that. But the one that I'm really interested in is the guy that's going to be catching for the Atlanta Braves on opening day, Drake Baldwin. Like, if Baldwin is kicking tail for a month, what do you do when Murphy's back from the cracked rib?
I think that's a fascinating question because we both agree Baldwin rakes. Rakes. But you can't put him at first because you got Matty O,
Can't DH him.
because you got the big bear. It's where do you put him? I mean, stash him in a corner?
No,
He's
I
like a
mean,
catcher,
he's
and
a catcher.
you just be trying to figure out a spot for him.
Let me see if he's literally ever done it before.
Yeah, I doubt he has. I'm just thinking of like, how could we get the bat in the lineup? I think unfortunately he's probably going to spend most of the year at AAA, even though he definitely should not. But that's what happens when you're a prospect for the second best team in baseball, in my eyes.
Drake
That's why Dalton
Baldwin.
Rushing can't get up with the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
yeah.
Baldwin's in the same spot.
Drake Baldwin has literally never played a position
Yeah.
other than catcher since high school. Like he went to Missouri State, 3 years at Missouri State. He caught every time he was in the lineup, and he has not logged an inning outside of catcher in his professional baseball career.
Did he play shortstop in high school? Maybe he could swap out for Arcia.
I don't know. That's a great question. Apparently, like really good hockey player, Drake Baldwin.
Quick wrists. Put him at third. Nope,
Sure.
Riley. Nope,
Is that
Riley.
how that
Put him at
works?
second. Nope, Albies.
Yep.
Put him in center. Nope, Harris. Put him in right. Nope, Acuna. All right, where do you put him?
As a junior in high school in 2018, Drake Baldwin led the state of Wisconsin in goals scored, hockey wise.
The dude's a stud. I
Nasty.
mean, he needs to get.
Nasty.
But what do you do? Question for you. I mean, I don't know if you know the answer. Nobody knows the answer. I don't even think Alex Anthopoulos knows the answer. But try and work through it with me. What do you think is going to happen to him
I
this
think
year?
you timeshare it. I think you 3 and 3. If you play 6 games in a week, I think you give Murphy back to back games and you give Baldwin back to back games and you give him 1 and 1.
So you're really just you're taking out time for Murphy.
You're taking out time from Sean Murphy. I also think there's a world where they dangle. If Baldwin's really good, I think Murphy's a pretty easy guy to move, even with an extension. Like a lot of teams really want a good catcher.
Oh yeah.
A lot of teams want a backup catcher. I don't think they're willing to just have Baldwin sit on the bench. Like if Baldwin struggles a little bit and he's a sub 700 OPS, you option him and you just let him get everyday ABs and you let Murphy play every day. But if he looks undeniable, and I think there's a non-zero chance that happens, I think you can start entertaining moving a guy like Murphy.
I I totally see where you're coming. I think that it's just going to be Murphy's job, and Baldwin's going to be spending a lot of time in AAA this year
Whatever.
because this is a huge year for the Braves too, right? They need to rebound after last year only winning 89 games. Remember, we're talking about the Braves here,
Yeah.
wanting to be one of the best teams in baseball. So 89 doesn't sound that bad, but for Braves Nation, it certainly does. So this needs to be a big year, and they're all expecting Murphy to bounce back, and who wouldn't? He's been one of the best catchers in baseball now for the last half decade, outside of last year where he was banged up and just not himself. You potentially still have a top five guy there. You got to run with it, and maybe that means Baldwin ends up getting traded. I just highly doubt that. I think this is the year for Sean Murphy and maybe a deadline move, but I think it's going to be Murphy's job for most of the year because I think he's going to play really well.
Yeah.
But I'm so interested to see if Baldwin hits the ground running. What the hell do they do? It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
So again, the top five in American League Rookie of the Year, according to BetMGM, the odds. Jason Dominguez is your favorite. Christian Campbell and Roman Anthony, both of the Red Sox, 2 and 3. Jackson Jobe with the Detroit Tigers, and Cam Smith. It's been found out he has a good chance to make the opening day roster. His odds have vaulted up. He's at number 5. Top 5 in the National League. Roki Sasaki, number 1. Dylan Cruz with the Nationals, number 2. Matt Shaw with the Cubs, number 3. Bubba Chandler with the Pittsburgh Pirates, number 4. And Jordan Lawler, shortstop, Arizona Diamondbacks. So I made a list of 5 prospects or players that I think can really impact the big league team this year and are definitely guys to watch. Quinn Matthews with the Cardinals. I know the Cardinals have come out and said that they're going to run a really big rotation, maybe 6 guys, maybe it's McGreevy. I think there's a chance that Quinn Matthews could be the second best pitcher in this rotation by the end of the season. I still think Palante is a good pitcher, and that's just how much I like Quinn Matthews. I mean, the more you watch him, it's so obvious. Like when you and Arm have talked about him, a pitchability guy who finds elevated stuff.
Yeah.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
That's what the Guardians have been doing for years. And Quinn Matthews has that. He was so good at Stanford, like throwing in the high 80s.
Yeah.
So now if he's in the low to mid 90s, grabbing 6s and 7s, we got a real pitcher here. And it's
Yeah.
definitely in the Cardinals' best interest to get that guy up as soon as humanly possible. You mentioned Drake Baldwin, easy answer. You mentioned Kumar Rocker, easy answer. But I'm going to continue to bang the drum for Will Warren. He's needed now.
And the plots look like Michael King.
It went from he could be fun to we need you to shove. And he was always sinker slider coming up. And even last year, you saw when you were watching Will Warren starts, like he would just leave sinkers up and they would just get crushed. But better command of the sinker, but also instituting a curveball, also throwing the fastball more, and the stuff has ticked up. I mean, the Yankees have done a good job of developing pitchers lately, right? With Luis Heel, Michael King leaving, Drew Thorpe, Clark Schmidt, and now Will Warren. And even Clark Schmidt and Michael King and Will Warren, they're all kind of similar. It's these low slot guys. I think it's going to work. I really do. I think he's going to be very solid for the Yankees and very needed, which is another big thing. Because
Yeah.
prospects, we can talk about talent versus need. Like, I think Will Warren, as long as he's solid, he's probably going to throw 130 innings this year.
Yeah.
And if he's good, he might end up winning Rookie of the Year
Yep.
over his teammate, Jason Dominguez, who I still think is going to be good. And I still probably would pick Dominguez, but Warren is a great one. And my last one, I mean, it's hard not to buy into the hype with Caglione right now. Jack
Hmm.
Caglione of the Royals. I mean, he's not going to make the opening day roster, I don't think.
No, he won't. He was just optioned today, actually.
Yeah, but I got to see it. It's Aram even put it on the newest update of the top 100. Could get up to 80 game power.
Hmm.
80. Like those are Hall of Fame level traits. I got to see it. I just got to see it. So
Hmm.
I I don't even know when Jack Haglione's going to get called up this year. He might not, right? If he struggles in the minors, it's not like he has that much time in the minor leagues. So he may not come up until September, maybe comes up sooner. But if he comes up sooner, that means he's raking, and I want to
Yeah.
see him rake. So I had to add Jack Haglione to the list.
Also, not optioned, reassigned to minor league camp because
Mm.
Caglione is non 40. So, transactionally, that is your terminology. Don't get it twisted, folks.
You were the one who get it twisted.
Yeah, I got it twisted because I'm an idiot. All right, let's go to the next question here. This one is another Instagram question, and it comes to us from Kyle Stelter78. Hey, Kyle. If you could combine any two prospects and create the best player, who would you create? Easy. Roman Anthony and Roki Sasaki. Next question.
I mean, I thought more of traits. You can't just
Yes.
combine two of the players.
No, but
And
like
I
he
did
pitches like Sasaki and he plays like Roman. Like,
pretty good.
next.
Pretty good. Two traits. I think I have the winner.
I think I have the winner.
I mean, if you could give me a bat with Chandler Simpson's speed and Jack Caglione's power, I mean, we're going to win a lot of games together. Because even Arm was saying 90 grade speed. Fuck 80.
Yeah.
90 grade speed for Chandler Simpson. And when you watch him, it's like, yeah, you're the fastest guy I've ever seen play baseball.
Yeah.
Point blank, period.
Yeah.
And Jack Caglione is in 500-foot moonshots. Yeah, put those two together. Yeah, we might hit 250. I don't care. We're going 60, 100.
I like that. I like that cyborg answer, and that's probably the better player, but I think I created the best pitcher in baseball. Give me Andrew Painter and a Roki Sasaki hybrid. Like, give
Mm.
me Painter's frame and just the smoothness of his delivery, but you also have kind of the deception of Roki and the way that he just kind of juts out at you. And then if you take Painter's pitch mix with the fastball and the two breaking balls, and you give him Sasaki's splitter too, I mean that's like
Yeah,
speed's
you give
taking
it,
back seat, baby.
you're basically giving Andrew Painter an 80 grade pitch on top of what he's already got.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it, but also with like the deception and the delivery of Roki Sasaki.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
So, I don't know as much about prospects as you and Arm do. And I feel like what I try and do is sometimes read between the lines of how you guys describe prospects. And I try and then ask questions. It happens a lot with Arm, but with you in particular, in your mind, because Arm ranked Job and Sasaki ahead of Painter, do you think Painter's the best pitching prospect in baseball? The way you
Um,
talk about him, I feel like you secretly down here in your heart are like, I would rank Painter one above those two.
yeah, but like he also missed the last 2 years with a major elbow surgery.
I
So
know, but I'm asking you.
So if he didn't, like, I think we're looking at Painter as being a top 10 arm in the game right now, to be honest. Like, at 20 years old, he would have debuted, and at 21, he looks like he's amazing. Like, he came back from TJ in his first inning in the Arizona Fall League, like 200 people in the stands, two of which being Aram and I. He hit 100 miles an hour, and it was effortless 100. I think, like, pound for pound in a vacuum, assuming full health, Andrew Painter, I think, is the best pitching prospect in baseball. Yeah.
See, I'm pretty
Is
good
that
at
what you
reading.
wanted to hear?
Yeah. I just wanted to
Okay.
hear that's a fun take. That's a fun take to hear because there's three legit pitching prospects. And the
Yeah,
fact that you're going with Painter, who I'm ranked at third, and you have number one, I like that. I like that.
it's he's 6'7". It's the cleanest delivery I've ever seen from somebody that big. Like him and Yuri Perez are kind of the same thing
Hmm.
for me. And I think Yuri, Skeens, and Painter could be the three that just run baseball for the next 10 years.
Mm, I like that. That's a quote card right there.
You think so?
That's a quote card right there.
Should I write that down?
Yuri, Painter, Skeens are going to run baseball for the next decade.
All right.
All right,
Yuri, Painter, Skeens, run baseball decade. Okay.
what other combos are you interested in? Like I was
Um,
thinking Kevin McGonagall's hit tool with Jack Caglione's power. I mean,
I was thinking like you need Caglianone's power
yeah,
regardless. Like that's there. I was thinking Caglione and an Emmanuel Rodriguez hybrid because Emmanuel Rodriguez just does not chase.
but that guy's gonna get hurt all the time.
Yeah, but Caglione's made of like granite, so he
Yeah,
might never get hurt. I have no idea.
yeah. But I like Simpson and Caglione paired
Cool.
together.
All right. Second to last question. We get to our X questions here. This one comes to us from, as I pull it up, 4M Opinions on X. Who do you think will be the most unexpected player dealt at the trade deadline this year? Put on your thinking cap. Who you got?
I got a couple names.
Okay,
Y'all know me. This is where I live. I live in the hypothetical. I live in the maybe
maybe
realm of the world.
Ellie De La Cruz.
Potentially. I mean, imagine the package they could get for
That would be
him.
crazy. It'd be awesome, man.
So number one, I'm gonna work from most likely to least likely. And again, the question is, who do you think will be the most unexpected player? So it's not guys who we all kind of expect to be moved at the deadline. Most likely, I think, is Kevin Gosman of the guys that I've named who are unexpected. And I think Gosman, who's a free agent in 2027, the Blue Jays have to be looking at the roster this season. And let's say they struggle. Vladdy is going to be a free agent. Bichette's going to be a free agent. The starting staff is getting really, really old now. With, of course, you got Bassett and Barrios, and you have Bowden Francis coming up, but it's still like a pretty old rotation. So, are they going to start getting rid of pieces? If Gosman has a good first half, he's going to be a guy that everybody is asking about at the deadline. That was a guy who I think is most likely among the unexpected players traded at the deadline. Do I think the Blue Jays trade Kevin Gosman? Probably not. But I think it's well within like if we're talking about percentiles, I think it's like a 40th percentile outcome. 30th percentile outcome, Brandon Woodruff. And I know that sounds crazy because he's coming back from TJ and the Brewers want him this year. But Jack, remember when we were going over the Brewers pitching staff and they kind of had five and it was like whatever they get from Brandon Woodruff? I mean, if Brandon Woodruff has a good first half, he's a free agent very soon at the end of the year. The Brewers are known, like they can still win even trading stars, right? They trade Devin Williams, they trade Corbin Burns. So if Woodruff looks good, they can really cash in. And again, it's just their normal roster that they already had before Brandon Woodruff was going to come back. I mean, this team won 93 games without Brandon Woodruff throwing a pitch. So if they get a big package for him, they could still even be good and trade a guy like Brandon Woodruff. And number three, I just don't think it's going to happen. But he is raking in spring training. And again, if the Blue Jays tear it down, I'm going to go with Bo Bichette, probably the 20th percentile. I think they're going to ride it out. I think they want to keep him. He's a part of their core, kind of similar to Vladdy. So that's why I think it's the least likely of even all of my unexpected guys. But if he turns in a good first half, you're telling me Ross Atkins isn't going to at least listen?
Yeah.
I think he will. Will a team overpay for him? Because that's what I think they'd have to do to pry him from the Blue Jays. I don't think that's going to happen. That's why I think ultimately he won't get traded. But I do think that he will get calls and he will actually pick up those calls. That's why I thought to include him in this question.
Okay, I do like all three of those shouts. And I think Gosman was like the most likely one, but I do think going Jays made a lot of sense there. I went in a different way, to be honest. Um, I think at some point the logjam is going to be too much for the Boston Red Sox, and they're going to see an opportunity to either go get an elite closer or go get another starting pitcher. And
Mm.
I think one of Casas or Wilyer Abreu is gone at the deadline. So those were the two names that jumped out to me in Boston. I think the name that everybody expects is Yoshida, but I think if you want someone that actually makes a difference in a pennant race, it would have to cost Casas or Wilyer Abreu. So those are the two. The other one, Byron Buxton.
Talked about that before too. Yeah. He's I just don't know what the Twins are going to do. I mean, they might sell. I still think they're a good team. They could still go for it this year in a relatively wide open division, but if he's raking in the first half and the Twins are not doing that well, wouldn't be shocked.
Buxton is making 15.1 this year, next year in 27 and 28. So you're effectively taking on a 4 year, $60 million deal for Byron Buxton. And they have two top 20 prospects in baseball in the outfield. Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez will be ready at some point this year. I do feel pretty confident about that. And you run into this situation where it's like, you're going to flank Buxton with two top 10 prospects, or are you going to go a little bit cheaper with two top 10 prospects? And like, do you love Larnick? Do you love Wallner? Well, guess what? like, I just feel
Someone's got
like
to go.
that. Yeah, especially if they are in the business of cost cutting a little bit. I do think that the way more expensive Byron Buxton could be on the move. So that was the guy that jumped out to me that I was like, we're getting a little crazy, and I feel good about this take.
I think the hair on Phillies fans' forearms just perked up a little bit
Yeah, that would be a great fit.
because it's always been
Great.
Luis Robert. Luis Robert need a center field. What about Buxton?
What about
Because
Byron Buxton?
with Robert, you're hoping for the bounce back, but Buxton is coming off an awesome season. But of course, he's Byron Buxton, so he's hurt for half of it. But in the half of he played, I mean, oh my God!
Yeah.
All you got to do, Phillies, catch lightning in a bottle.
Yep.
Get 70 games of just an insane talent in that lineup, and they could use some speed, right? I know, they still have Trey Turner, they still have Bryson Stott, but I'd like to see a more dynamic guy. That's why they like Josh Rojas, of course, because he can go get it in center field. But, with Marsh, Kepler, Castellanos, Bohm, Schwarber, Harper, not a lot of speed, more a lot of guys who just sit there and hit dingers. Buxton can do it all. I love that fit. Oh,
Yeah.
like
That's a
Stephen A
really
got me salivating over here.
All right. Last but not least,
Let's get it.
last question on this one comes to us from X and Talk of the Cove, Michael Monreal. Who are some prospects knocking on the door of the big leagues who won't start the year with the club that can come up mid-season and really help propel a team into playoff contention? This is where Caglione comes up. I think Jack Caglione can be that spark that Kansas City needs offensively in July. And all of a sudden, you've got this Cags effect, and he is complementing this rotation, and he's providing a little bit of lineup security for Bobby Witt Jr. And this is an opportunity to shine for Cags and come into a fun playoff chase. I just mentioned Walker Jenkins and Emmanuel Rodriguez in Minnesota. I think if Minnesota is knocking on the door and they need an upgrade in the outfield, one of those guys is going to be hitting the ball really well. And if they're healthy, they've both dealt with injuries. I do think that one of those two could really take over.
Pitcher that I like. Well, I mean, it depends if he is throwing strikes and he's getting whiffs like he did in college. But could Chase Burns come up and help a Cincinnati Reds playoff
I
push?
like that.
And I really want to say, can Bubba Chandler come up and help a Pittsburgh Pirates playoff push? But probably not. More pitchers, though. I mean, Brandon Sproat could come up and help the Mets. And Bryce Eldridge, I know he's just 20 years old, but
He
he could
could.
come up and be a big stick for the Giants as well.
Yeah.
I wonder, too, I keep thinking about what are the Diamondbacks going to do with Jordan Lawler? Like
Yeah.
he's top five and projected to win Rookie of the Year in the National League, but you just extended Geraldo Perdomo. You don't really have a spot for him,
Yeah.
but does a spot emerge? and he is able to come and hit the ground running and help the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, and it could be injury related. Like, who knows if Perdomo, if Suarez, if Ketel Marte goes down, then Lawler is the next guy up, and he can fill in there. I like the Eldridge shout. I had Eldridge written down. The other name that I had written down has been hitting balls to Siberia.
Mm.
Samuel Basayo in Baltimore. I have no idea how he fits, but Basayo could be a guy that comes up in July and puts the Orioles offense over the top.
Kyle Teal getting the White Sox to the promised land.
Yeah, sure. Braden Montgomery, too.
I really wanted to say Chase DeLauder so bad, but I just like I don't. I hope he's healthy enough this season.
I think DeLauder's as close to the right answer to this as any, but who knows if he's healthy?
Yeah, that I of course I was going to add him. I
Yeah.
just he's out 8 to 12 weeks. He's a guy who even dropped down the draft because he had a foot thing, right? So he went into the draft with an injury, then he finally starts hitting bombs once he's healthy, and immediately an injury again. So I want to say him, but how can I? That's our list.
Here we go.
That's all I got. That's all we
Mailbag.
got for you. So hopefully everybody enjoyed the mailbag edition of the Just Baseball show, as well as the Tuesday roundup for the Dodgers and the Cubs. Again, we were by the time you're listening to this, Roki Sasaki already took on who's pitching for the Cubs today? Justin Steele,
Steele, come
the man
on.
from Mississippi. I saw a hilarious tweet from Cespedes Family Barbecue where it was like, Roki, Shota,
I'm
and
pulling it up. I
Yamamoto.
want to read it
Yeah,
because it
pull
did
that
it
one.
made me laugh too.
Yeah, pull up that. While I talk about merch, go get your Just Baseball merch in the episode description. Also, make sure to join the Discord if you want. It's only $5 to join for the entire month, right? It's not just $5 and you get up until opening day. No, it's $5. So if you sign up Wednesday, March 19th, you get to April 19th, and then it's going to be $10 a month come opening day. So if you're interested in that, make sure to hit up the Discord link. It is in the episode description. Also, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your shows, make sure to rate and review 5 stars. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Did you find the tweet?
I did. Cespedes Family Barbecue. I love that the starting pitchers for the Tokyo series are three Japanese superstars and my main man Justin from Agricola, Mississippi, population 346.
Electric. We got to get Steele back on the show. He was awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So for Jack and Mullen, I'm Peter Apple. We will see you Friday for my top 100 players in Major League Baseball. It's going to be a banger of an episode again for Jack and Mullen. I am Peter Apple. We will see you on Friday. And with that, thank you, everybody.